The Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Channels Media Group, Mr. John Momoh, is the new Chairman of the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BON. Mr. Momoh, who was elected at the annual Delegates Conference of the organization held in Abuja, is the first private television broadcaster to hold the position. He polled 51 votes as against his opponent, Alhaji Abbas Dalhaju of Freedom Radio in Kano, who scored 12 votes. In his acceptance speech, Mr. Momoh promised to bring the organization to an enviable height through training and use of modern technology for the development of the broadcast industry in the next 2 years.
One after the other, delegates for the election made their way into the premises of the Nigerian Television Authority to drive a new process that will see to the emergence of their new leader.
Hi, how are you?
With all set, the outgoing chairman of the organization gives reasons for the gathering.
Article 16 B states that to deepen friendship, professionalism, harmony, comradeship and partnership in the organization, the chairmanship of the organization shall be produced or held on continuous rotational basis.
That done, journalists were excused from the meeting to allow consultations between elders in the industry and their contestants. After due consultations, a candidate stepped down, leaving two contestants, Alhaji Ahatu Abbas of Freedom Radio Kano and Mr. John Momoh of Channels Media Group. There was a 5-minute opportunity given to both candidates to present their manifestos to eligible voters of the organization.
But yes, we're struggling. We produce compelling content. We have really good marketing staff. We have a very good commercial profile. But the money is not coming through.
40 years and knocking on 60. It's time for me to give back to the industry. And how do I give back? To sit on the saddle, to mount the saddle of an association and build on it and impact on my brothers and sisters so that together we can win.
Then the elections proper and the delegates file out one after the other to cast their votes for their preferred candidates. The electoral officer sorted out the votes one after the other in a transparent manner.
Mr. John Momoh. Mr. John Momoh.
At the end, Mr. Momoh defeated his opponent by a landslide margin of 52 out of the 63 votes cast in the election, and he is declared winner of the election. Mr. Momoh speaks of his vision for the organization and what must be done to salvage the media industry from its present position.
I am overwhelmed by the wide acceptance of the adventurous manifesto I presented before you. The leadership I offer is to build on the legacies of those who have come before me. It's determined to address these influences and a new thinking, a new respect and a new vision for us all as professional broadcasters. Collectively, we shall begin a rapid development of the broadcast industry in Nigeria while embracing cutting-edge technologies to match our counterparts around the globe. I offer myself to help out in these areas, to reach out to my fellow broadcasters in ways that we can improve your signals, in ways we can collaborate together, in ways that you can get the clear quality signals that international broadcasters have on their screen, such as we have in Channels today.
His colleagues speak of what they expect from the new leadership.
The very important, among other things, important things that we have in the industry is about the debt and also about the digital migration. And they are top on the agenda of our new chairman.
We need to streamline professionals, not anybody who comes out is not a journalist or is in the business. To issue of agencies you can see virtually every radio station or TV has its owing. People don't know why we are owing. We are owing because you run adverts and it takes the agency 6 months to pay you. And when they want to pay you, they pay you half the money.
The next 2 years of steering the ship of the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria will definitely not be without some challenges. But with the assurances from the new executive of the association, it appears that the time to make the media industry play its all-important role to the society is here.
The Delta State government has advocated a paradigm shift from dependence on revenue from oil to revenue generation from knowledge-based development. Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa dropped the hint at the public presentation of the state's innovation hub and commissioning of the e-government academy in Asaba, the state capital.
That's why the minister...
As a way of encouraging state governments to survive the current economic challenges, former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, in a meeting with the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Williams Fowler, said it's important for states to be creative and more productive to justify taxes obtained from the people. Joining me on the news at 10 to look at the way forward for states to be self-sufficient is the development analyst, Mr. Joe Femi Dagunro. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at 10.
Thank you.
Now that the states are faced with a cash crunch of sorts, being unable to pay salaries in the first place, and then what should government be doing now to increase internally generated revenues, just so that the tax system has the fuel it requires?
Great, that's a good question. I believe that, first of all, the states have to begin to cut down on unnecessary expenses or expenditures. Let me just give you an example. The government of Germany they have this kind of collaboration and agreement with the federal government of this country. And some few days ago, I read it on the Governors Forum website that 6 governors will be going to Germany again to inspect or to have a knowledge of dual vocational training. Good idea. But the product is already here in Nigeria. There is a delegate that can take them through. They are training the people. Lagos State has benefited from it. Ogun State has benefited from it. FCT has benefited from it. So there's no point for them to go. So these are simple ways. First of all, let us cut down unnecessary trips, unnecessary expenditures. And then if we look at that, we begin to say, how can we generate? The people want to know that if you are cutting salaries or if you cannot pay, they want to feel that the government is interested in them as well. And that means the governments as well, they can cut down these expenses. If a governor is there for 4 years, nothing stops this governor and his aides and the members of the assembly, from the governor to the local government, to say, listen, we are cutting our salaries and expenses for half, even for 1 year. So people will be happy to go along with that. Then if you want to generate more, the best way, or one of the greatest way that they can do is to provide enabling environment for manufacturing industry. If you have companies around, look at what is going on in Ogun State, for instance, now. They are developing rapidly. And that's why they are top 5 among the states that are doing well in this IGR thing. So if you allow the manufacturing sector of the economy to participate and to come into your state, give them enabling environment, taxes will surely come in. And the more you have all these taxes, you are generating a better IGR. It is not enough because the payee that is staff or the worker, the government we pay. They are standard. You pay the payee and it's not even enough. But it's good if you can pay their salary regularly so that they can as well, contribute to the growth of the society. And so they go into the supermarket, they can spend, they have the spending power. But the idea is this: common sense has failed us. So we have to be doing things with uncommon sense. And that means we bring in a disruptive marketing strategy, a disruptive sales strategy. You have to sell your state. You have to begin to think like a businessman. How do I run this state that this state will not be bankrupt? I said, those are the things we have to do.
I'm interested when I hear analysts say that ICT can be employed to help states as an alternative to growth. But I just ponder, how can this work? ICT for state governments?
Yeah, what ICT can do, I think, is just, you see, when you train, look at the numbers of telephones, mobile phones that people go around with. We are not manufacturing this thing. That's number one. And most of the details or most of the things we do now, we do them on mobile phone, e-commerce on mobile phone, news on mobile phones. So if we begin to train these young men and women to begin to develop, first of all, to develop software that will be needed, for our own economy, for our own industry, for our own country, I mean, then you will save some money in that way. You will be employing people, but you will have to train them. And that means it's not just going through the university or through the secondary. We have to begin to have a train, just like what Okoa has just done right now, to have an academy whereby you'll be training these people. I tell you what, now your car that you're driving is not just ordinary car like before. So if you don't have mechatronics, these young men trained in mechatronics, they might not be able to handle such cars in the nearest future. So there's need for ICT, and at the same time, it will enable you to gather your database, and from the database you will know who is paying tax, who is not paying tax. So if you have a good ICT development, definitely you are developing the future and you are developing these people. And these young men and women at the same time, they will have a future to depend on. Listen, in future I can become something. So it's a very good thing to do.
Mr. Joe Femi Dagunro, I want to thank you so much indeed for talking to us. Of course, the development analyst here on the news at 10. Let's quickly shift gears now, shall we? So we take you to the business stories with Melinda Akinlami.
You first. First Bank.
Thank you so much, Gimba. Welcome to Business News. The United Kingdom will continue to strengthen its partnership with Nigeria in the area of trade and investment. This statement was made at the Stock Exchange today by the UK Prime Minister's trade envoy to Nigeria, Mr. John Howell. He explains that the UK will not redefine its ties with Nigeria, but sustain the existing partnership across the markets.
That you bring your companies to come and for those of us who are market.
FBN Holdings, the parent company of First Bank of Nigeria, has reported 54 billion naira in net foreign exchange income in the first half of 2016 due to the forex revaluation in the second quarter. The financial services holding company posted a 16.2% growth in net loans and a 4.2% rise in customer deposits during the period. FBN Holdings' annual earnings per share was reported at 197 kobo, which analysts at Quados Capital say was outperforming and above their estimate of 125 kobo. The company's target price for 2016 was reversed upwards to 5 naira per unit with a buy recommendation. It's a second day of recovery for equities markets as the all-share index crosses into the 28,000 level. Investors are still basking in CBN's monetary policy decisions. Bisi Adebayo tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Markets Reports. The positive momentum continues at the Nigerian equities market a day after the Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN voted to increase the monetary policy rate to 14%. A total of 488.89 million shares, valued at 4.82 billion naira, in 4,713 deals were transacted at the exchange. The all-share index climbed by almost 1% and midweek session at 28,205.62, with a market capitalization of 9.68 trillion naira. Okomo Oil and Emirates were the top gainers with 10.2% each, ahead of Manson Insurance, which grew by 9.8%, while Skybank led Wednesday's laggards with a 5% decline. On the volume chart, bank stocks dominated as seen in the shares of UBA Group, Access Bank and FBNH. That ends the stock market reports. I am Bisi Adebayo.
It's a good day for major world markets on a Wednesday. It's looking up following US Fed's decision to leave its interest rates unchanged. But for Asia, it's mixed. That's Business News. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Melinda Akinlami.
You first. First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Flamingo's coach Bala Nikio invites 30 players to camp as the team begins preparations for the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in Jordan. That's the sports news. Stay with us.